and also a nutritional therapist. On this broadcast, we talk about health news and information as it applies to your everyday life. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up if you like this kind of content. Yes, that means like the video. And we want to hear from you. So comment if you have something that you want to share with us. And subscribe to all of our social medias. And now, on to the broadcast. Nobody didn't tell me my mic is muted all this time. When did I mute the mic? Oh my goodness. My mic has been muted all this time. Wow, I am so sorry. I didn't get a note or pop up or anything. Oh well, looks like we're going longer today. That's what happens when you go live. I did not see that mic was muted, and we're 19 minutes in. So let me just go back to the beginning and get started because I don't think that you've heard anything else, anything that I've said, and I've been sitting here talking for 19 minutes. I'm going to go back through this really, really quickly. So if you have a food addiction? So that term food addiction was introduced 60 years ago in food addiction, and it is a specific adaptation to one or more regularly consumed foods to which a person is highly sensitive, and it produces a common pattern of symptoms descriptively similar to those of other addictive processes. Addictive like consumption of corn, wheat, coffee, milk, eggs, and potatoes. This was reported back in 1956. And so now, with the increase of worldwide prevalence of obesity, the concept food addiction is becoming popular again with researchers and lay people. So that's what we're talking about. So this is basically very similar to substance-based and behavioral addictions. So the rise in obesity in many countries, it just can't be contributed to genetic factors alone. It's partially based on environmental changes which interact with our biological makeup and appear to underlie the obesity pandemic. Oh, I thank you. I see the note there that you can't hear me. Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me now? Are we good? Great. Great. I'm so sorry, you guys. So as we're going on, so basically right now there is what we call an obesity pandemic, and it could be related to, say, like, there is also a diabetes pandemic. This is like global. So a large proportion of different populations, they overeat to the extent that it threatens physical and mental well-being, and both somatic and psychiatric disorders are associated with obesity, and food addiction offers a superficially attractive explanation and potentially an excuse for this unhealthy behavior at an individual level. So they don't, talking about food addiction, it's really controversial. And I think I mentioned this because I am a self-proclaimed sugar addict. I know that if I would not have stopped eating sugar, and I couldn't resist it, right? So there are eating disorders, there's compulsive overeating, and then there are food addictions. And so a food addiction is referring to a specific food that you will eat compulsively and overeat. And an eating addiction, or the compulsive overeating, is eating uncontrollably even when you're not physically hungry, feeling shameful and disgusted or guilty after eating, consuming food much more rapidly than normal, eating a large quantity of food in a short period of time, eating in secrecy or alone due to feelings of embarrassment, chronic dieter or history of dieting, and hiding or hoarding food. So this is what's related to compulsive overeating. And the basics of food addiction is, you know, is in contrast, you experience that drug addiction or substance abuse type addiction, which means that you can't resist it. And so we're going to go back and we're going to talk about the food addiction. So number one, you can't stop eating despite having a full stomach. So you overeat. You're full, but you don't feel full. You don't feel filled. You aren't hungry, but have this uncomfortable, intense craving. and it's like an emergency, and the world stops unless you can have it. So this is a sign of food addiction. Number two, you have food FOMO. FOMO, fear of missing out. FOMO, FOMO. In other words, basically that's just fear of missing out. You feel like this is your last chance to get that food. Can't You're not gonna, like, it's never coming around again. And you promise yourself that I'm never gonna eat this again. You know, like you're gonna quit. So you go for like the whole thing. Like I would just like have a whole cake, and I'm gonna eat half, and then I go back for another piece, and I go back for another piece. It's like I'm gonna like it's not going anywhere. But I just can't. I can't stop. Number three. So this is if you have a food addiction. You use food as self medication, right? So food addiction, eating addiction, they run along the same vein, except for with food, you're one specific food. Um, they're very very similar. Eating is in particular just going for all kinds of foods. You're just gonna overeat, overindulge in food, um, maybe binge eat and things like that. As you go on, number three, you use food as self medication. Food becomes your Valium. You use it when you want to numb your negative feelings. You soothe yourself with carrot cake, for instance. So it just soaks up all of the byproducts of stress and leaves you feeling so relaxed. And that's your Zen place, food. If you are if you feel nothing, like you're bored, you use food to give you a positive high, just like recreational drugs. And and just as a side note, did you know research shows that sugar sugar is 4 times more addictive than hard drugs. So sugar is 4 times more addictive than hard drugs. Yeah. And I wouldn't have never thought of myself as being a person, or characterized myself as being a person that was um, had an addictive personality, or that had an addiction of any sort. I used to, one of my source of pride was like, didn't drink, didn't smoke, all of that kind of stuff, so didn't do any drugs. But I was a sugar addict, and that was something that would never be, no, I didn't know it back then. But, to even say, I'm a sugar addict. To say it now, people still don't really believe it, but I believe you me. I've met lots of people now that are freely admitting that they are sugar addicts. 'Cause when I say that I'm a sugar addict, they stop and realize that, hey, yeah, they're a sugar addict too, or they're realizing that, they had to quit sugar too. People have had to quit sugar too. I'm not the only person, and I'm finding that even I talk to a lot of people. When if you cut out one form of sugar, like you might be eating a lot of carbs. If you cut out the carbs, you're going to you cut out those simple carbs, like you're a bread eater and you cut out the bread, then you're going to turn to another source, because that bread turns to sugar, so you're still a sugar addict. So you're going to turn to another source to get that sugar in your body. So that was me. But yeah, so you use number three, you use food as self medication. Number four, you eat in secret. So as far as the world is concerned, you got it all together. Yeah, you got it happening. But I say, so much about nutrition and all of that stuff, and you could write a bestseller about it, but you eat in secret. So, because you don't want other people to know what you eat. Yeah. You don't want other people to know what you eat. I'm not saying that you're a professional. I'm just saying. You eat in secret because you don't want other people to know what you eat. Because what if they discover that you're a mess and completely out of control? So you sneak out and you eat whatever you want. and you eat it by yourself so you can do it without judgment and without embarrassment. So you eat in secret. So we discovered that, we talked about, we just mentioned that. What are the signs, right? What are the signs? So when, now we were talking about, when I said before, compulsive overeating. See the similarities? Food addiction, compulsive overeating. This is very controversial. Oh, what's going on with today's broadcast? My screen just went blank. Can you see me? Can y'all see me there? Well, it's saying that I'm connected, but I don't see myself. Okay, there I go. I'm back. Looks very foggy, but I'm back. Okay, looks very foggy, but I'm back. Okay. All right, so let's get back to our signs of um, eating addiction, food addictions. So we had went over number 4. You eat in secret. Number 5. You blame your bloat on your thyroid or gluten intolerance. So because the world only sees half of what you eat, but all that mysterious weight gain, this mysterious 4 pounds that you added on, you say I have a sluggish thyroid, or I think I may be celiac, or that's what you tell other people. And you say it so often that you end up believing it yourself. But you're actually blaming the fact that you're actually blaming the weight gain that you're experiencing on something that doesn't really exist, because you're simply eating too much. 6, you cancel social activities to stay home and eat. You say things like, well, when I lose 20 pounds, or when I'm 20 pounds thinner, then I'll be more adventurous. I'll I'll go to parties with my friends. I'll have lots of friends. But the reality is that when it comes to choosing socialization or eating, you choose eating. The eating always wins, because food is your best friend. So this is some signs. Number 7, you feel you need more to feel the same effect. So one day you started just by having one piece of cake or one chocolate bar, but today one portion doesn't do the trick. To feel the same effect, you have to have one after the other. And you know the food companies love for you to love the adage, you bet you can't eat just one. Food companies love that, right? They make food so that the, um, with things in it so that it pleases your taste buds so much that you bet you can't eat just one, bet you can't stop at just one. That's what they want. But that's not good for us. And that too is like can lead to they want that to lead to you being addicted to food so that you'll continue to buy the food. But to feel the same effect, you have to have one right after the other, right after the other, just like someone who has a substance abuse problem. Not that they have to keep, but they're going to continually stay high. They're not going to, when they come down, they immediately have to go back up. They don't want to experience the world. So somewhere along the line, you become desensitized and you just keep on increasing the dose. You just keep on increasing it. So I think, and I think it's a little fly in here. I told us that I read already that sugar is 4 times more addicting than any hard drug. So when you think about that, sugar is more addicting. Then what are we saying? That, well, just look at it. Sweet tea, for instance. Sweet tea is overly sweet. It's overly sweet. It doesn't take that much sugar to sweeten the tea. It's actually syrup. It's borderline syrup. And people drink it and they sell it in the stores. Sweet tea. And it's like you have to have so much of it. People buy it because it's so sweet. And and that was somebody's creation. Why? Because regular tea, I just can't have just a little sweet. I got to have it more sweet. And then somebody marketed it. Sweet tea. Okay. You promise yourself that this will be the last time. Number 8. You promise yourself that this will be the last time. Like after you binge, the day after the binge, you wake up, you're bloated, you got a skin rash. You look in the mirror and you be like, it's gonna be the last time I do that. I'm never gonna do that again. You decide, I'm cutting it out, I'm quitting, I'm not gonna do that no more. And what happens? You go and you do it again. And you say that to yourself time and time again. Because as the day continues, after you just binged on something, that craving for that food comes back. And you try to resist it. You have a decision to make. And that decision is not an easy one. It's not an easy one. Because you risk being a nutcase for the rest of the day because you can't get what you want, what your body is craving, or you break the promise and relieve the withdrawal symptoms because, believe you me, the withdrawal symptoms make you feel like you're going bonkers. They do. So let me ask you, does any of this resonate with you? Does anybody out there, you ever had these problems? Do you feel like, are you that you binge eat, or let's see, with the binge eating, let's go back over there. Do you eat when you're not hungry? Do you eat when you, or do you when you feel shameful? Do you feel guilty and shameful after you finish eating? I mean, do you have any of these issues? Do you eat in secrecy? Are you constantly dieting? Tell me, do you do any of these things? Do you have any of those kinds of issues? You can have anything happen when you go live. So I've had a number of issues today. I don't even know if I could take this all back and do it again, I would. So I just want to say, if you have problems like this, if your problems extend beyond the basic food addiction, which is just, well, I mean, which is just a singular food, and you just can't stop eating that food, you have to find a way to step down from that. Which, if it was heroin, they would give you methadone. In the case of sugar, I use SumSweet to step down and get off of sugar and stop eating sugar to come off of that. If you have an addiction that's similar to that, if you are, or if you have an issue where you're overeating and you're binge eating and you're eating a lot and you're overeating on everything, not just one thing, but anything. You just want to, you need something. You can't stop eating. Now, we talked about compulsive overeating and food addictions, eating addictions. The behaviors, they have some overlap. Okay, so we recognize that there was overlap in the behaviors. A person may have a biological risk factors for food addictions, such as a genetic predisposition or a neurological chemical imbalance or something, right? That could cause um, addictive, that could have increased susceptibility to developing compulsive behaviors. And food consumption can become a way to fill the emotional void. So, and that can be perpetuated by biological influences as well. But if you're experiencing any of these things, anything like that, you really need to, if you find that you can't stop, seek professional help. And then sometimes you might have to have some psychological treatment to help you to help you stop the behaviors. You need therapy. There may be, you need an individualized treatment plan. Let's see, because everybody is different. That your plan needs to consider all the factors: biological, emotional, mental, psychological. You need whole person. You need whole person care. That's why I say be in tune with yourself. So seek out the appropriate help and treatment. Talk to a professional, somebody that can help you deal with your food addiction. And in some cases, it may not be, like I said, in some cases it can really be psychological, and you would really need to seek out someone to help you with that. So you're not alone. I can say that for sure. You are not alone. And many people are dealing with food addictions and or compulsive overeating, and they feel trapped by their own behaviors. There are lots of people. You are not by yourself. Not by a long shot are you by yourself. People are experiencing this and they sense hopelessness. Be encouraged, knowing that there's hope for you. Your future's not plagued by abnormal eating issues. And you can begin the journey to freedom today simply by just reaching out and asking for help. How about that? So I'm sorry about all of the hiccups and mess ups that we had in today's broadcast, and I went for 19 minutes of talking. Oh my goodness. But this is a serious matter that we were discussing here today. So there is hope for your addiction, and for if you're addicted to foods. And if you're addicted to sugar, SumSweet is what helped me kick my addiction. Trying to get my notes and screens back here. SumSweet is what helped me kick my addiction, and I'm sugar free today. That's what helped me. I'm going to put it back up on the screen and let you take a look at it again so that you'll be able to see that. But this is what helped me kick my sugar addiction, and it may very well help you. And that would just depend. You need individual treatment plans, but definitely you need to quit. We need to quit sugar. But not only that, if you're experiencing something, do reach out and get